What's up, and welcome to the Crude Oil Podcast, a weekly uncensored Edmonton Oilers podcast with your hosts, Sean and Greg. All right, welcome back. That was a loud right off the hop, eh?
Yeah.
Holy Christ.
Just for reference, you just said, I better make sure I don't talk too loud into the mic this time so I don't clip it.
Screaming into it. Start things off. Welcome back to another episode of the Crude Oil Podcast. I'd give a number, but I fucked it up last time. Did you know that?
No, I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we're on 17 now?
That's bingo, I think. So,
good.
happy episode 17, we'll call it.
Yeah. Insert blank number here.
Oh, I was going to play some breaking news sound because
Okay.
we do have some programming updates.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, we life got in the way as it does. So we just finally made the decision, especially with like Thanksgiving. That was a good point by you. We're gonna do recordings on Mondays,
And then releasing early Tuesday mornings, I guess.
I think
Set it to release at midnight so you get a notification before you get up in the morning. So if you want to download it before you're driving to wherever you're going, you can.
Yeah, and then that way you don't have to fight between us and two bears, one cave, or in whatever your taste of choice.
The number one competition we have.
yeah, that's where we align. Lots to talk about this week though. It feels like we talked like yesterday, but I feel like there's just so much more to talk about. So I have to ask you an honest question up front.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 4 games last week, how many did you watch?
2.
2. Okay.
Yeah, and a little bit of another one where I was
Yeah.
kind of in and out, distracted doing something, but kind of watching. But
Okay.
to be fair, the reason that's difficult is because it's not on TV.
Let's fucking get into that. It's on our list. Let's dive right in. Like, we're in 2022. What the fuck is going on?
Well, I think the problem is nobody wanted to pay, I guess, for the preseason rights for the Oilers games. And if I'm being honest, I'm sure they don't draw as much of viewership, so ads aren't that... I don't know, they don't bring in as much money, so
Yeah.
it's just not as important. But it's very annoying to see Winnipeg have all their games televised, Vancouver have all their games televised.
I feel like that's like the third Kraken Canucks game that's been on TV last night.
They've all been... So, like, Sportsnet has all of Vancouver's rights, and TSN has all of Winnipeg's rights, and for some reason, nobody has the Oilers' rights for the preseason.
Dumb. Dumb marketing.
Yeah, there was a few times where I actually tuned out in like the first period, for example, because it would be like Cam Moon and Bob Stauffer, but the mics that they had were just like, I don't even know. They were like blowing my speakers, especially in that first game. Oh my god, you know the guy with the mic. I think I talked about him in the last one.
Yeah, but like it's even just dumb. Like with the YouTube links or whatever you can find, you're watching shitty streamed stuff anyways. Like it's fucking terrible. But
yeah, to add a shitty quality like regular feed to trying to say stream it, for example, and it being even worse quality there, then it just turns into like you're watching pixels move around on the ice and you can't even tell what's happening. But to be fair, I think it was more the audio was the issue for everything, for me anyways, and the ease of trying to get it.
Yeah, that was my thing. The other thing too is like some of those games are just such duds to sit through. Like
when we have like a nothing roster playing against a full NHL roster against it was Seattle's.
We were supposed to watch that game together, and we're like,
yeah, let's go to bed instead.
Yeah. So I guess with that being said, do we like? I know we spent like 15 minutes on the one game because we hadn't seen hockey in 3 months. Like, I glassed over a bunch of those games last week. Like, I don't know if it's worth going into too much in depth the game itself, but more so the players, because I think well, as you saw, I have a list of all the players who got cut, and it's in somewhat order, so we can talk about each one. And if you don't have anything to say, you don't have anything to say. So like a couple of them got cut pretty early, so I don't have too much to say. But we can start by going through that list, and let's dive right in.
All right. Well, it starts with our boy Maximus Wanner.
New contract.
Yes.
New contract.
He did sign his entry-level contract, which was awesome. Good for him. And he got sent back down to the CHL, I believe, which was expected. And he didn't stand out. He didn't look bad, but I never really noticed him, which, to be fair, I've said before, not bad for a defenseman. But he wasn't making the team, so that was a very reasonable send-down. And that goes the same for the next two, which was Jake Chason. I almost said Alex.
Oh, God.
and Reed Schaefer.
Not again.
And Reed Schaefer. So Jake Chason, I think, had a few good shifts. Oh, sorry. Did you want to add anything about Wanner?
No, I didn't. He just played like the one game, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe he played 2, but he didn't really get into much.
Yeah, not a lot to feed off there.
Yeah, and Jake Chason, once again, he had a couple good shifts where I noticed him. I think he played with Kemp quite a bit, or not. It was Philp. That's the one.
No, Philp.
I get Philip Kemp and Noah Philp mess with my head.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But he had a few shifts, and they were very good together, and they played pretty well, so I was not surprised once again because he's CHL eligible, so not surprised to see him go down. Had no chance of probably making the team.
Yeah.
Anything else to add there?
Nothing there.
Okay. Do you want to take the next
yeah,
one
no,
then?
I was just I was looking at the next guy on the list. You had Petrov.
We never talked about Schaefer.
Oh, Schaefer, that's right. I mean, he wasn't going to make the team.
Yeah. Schaefer was one that I did notice and pay more attention to.
He's going to...
And he's huge. He just needs to fill out, I think.
Yeah, he's got that kind of like Bambi stage right now where you got to... He's going to grow into a decent player. Like, I think he's got that big power forward kind of knee that the Oilers will probably have to have in a few years.
He's certainly got the frame for it. It reminds me of like Puljujarvi, where he has the size and the frame. Yeah. It's just a matter of if he can learn how to use the body properly. Yeah. Which I would hope that you can figure that out.
Yeah. I was just going to touch on Petrov because I saw his first game back in the OHL. He put up 3 points. So
lighting it up already.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
I like Petrov a lot. I think he's going to come in and be a very important player for this team.
Honestly, I thought he was going to get more of a look. I think he played 1 game.
Yeah, I remember I never saw him until I think it was like the 3rd game.
Yeah.
He played that game and then they sent him down.
That was the Calgary game, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So it didn't even give him much of a chance against that Calgary
Flames
roster.
Jesus Christ. Just the whole fucking lineup.
Oh, yeah. That was like the bottom of the barrel players against the NHL players. Like, I don't know what Vancouver's roster looks like tonight,
right? For
example, but like that was the Oilers' last game. It was essentially Huberdeau versus the entire Oilers roster.
Yeah. Tullio sent down. Fanti. That kind of... Well, I guess there's rookies. I was trying to look through all the different names here. Kemp, Borgo, Kesselring, Philp, Esposito's, Peters all sent down today. I think most of those today, right?
I think it was yesterday, but most of them got sent down. I'd say of those players, the ones that I was most impressed with was Kesselring.
Yeah.
I thought he played really
sound,
well in his games. It's nice to see some potential right-handed defenseman depth forming there. Mm-hmm. He might be, I would think, depending on what we do with Demers, if we don't sign him, he's probably the second call-up on the right side behind Desharnais, assuming Desharnais is healthy.
Right.
And then otherwise, Esposito, he looked fantastic. Yeah. Considering he's on an AHL-only contract, I believe. Like, I was amazed by what he was able to bring. He was fast as hell and hustled every shift he was out there. I was super impressed with him.
Yeah, it was definitely a bright light on my side too. I was happy with Burgo. Like he's got a lot of flash.
Yeah, he's flashy. He's small. He's really fast. Mm-hmm. He just needs to, I guess, calm down maybe a little bit.
Right.
Sometimes when he had the puck, it looked like he was kind of like, I'm not saying shades of Yakupov because that's rude to say to somebody.
Yeah.
But like he looked a little panicky sometimes, which is like, that's what they say is when you make it to the NHL, you have so much less time with the puck.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to just like slow it down a little bit in his head and realize that he just needs to make the safe play and not try to like make the best play possible.
Well, so thinking ahead, because I think like Borgo is still 2-3 years away.
Yeah, maybe, I would say so.
Maybe. But like, where do you slot these players in when they come? Like, even right now to put Holloway into the lineup, and I'm not saying that should be a reason you keep him out, but the Oilers' top 9 is basically set.
That includes Fogle, right? If you're saying that?
I guess, yeah.
So I think that's really... We'll get into, like, how the roster should look, but... Yeah, like, I think it's going to be important going forward to look at Edmonton's contract situation. Right. Where you have, like, Nuge signed to this 5-year deal or whatever. I can't even remember how many years at this point. Hyman's deal, Kane's deal. Like, all these wingers have these long contracts. It makes me think that eventually somebody's going to have to go. Yeah. I don't know who and I don't know when, but that's the only way you're going to be able to fill out the roster with some of these cheaper players like Borgo, Savoy, Lavoie, Like those are the primary players that I would think would be able to play in the roster in the top 9 at least.
Yeah. And we'll get into that a little bit. I do have the contract situation up here, but we'll just finish up with the rest of this list with the ones that were sent down. Kind of a shocker. Like I expected Griffith to go down, Kemp, Rodrigue, obviously. But Greg McKay getting sent down, it feels early for him.
Well, I think the important part is was never going to be the 13th forward.
Right.
I think he was more like a 14th, 15th, even 16th kind of forward. Mm-hmm. And that's why he signed a 2-way contract in the first place.
Right.
So I think they're sending him down just maybe try to sneak him in through waivers right now as well. I'm more surprised that they sent him down this early because of the veteran requirement for the roster. But how many games do we have left? 3? I think we're going to have pretty well a full roster for all those games. Maybe you'll see McDavid and Draisaitl and company sit one more of these games. But
so the other thing that I actually found out this week too is veterans apply to a certain amount of games, but any first-round draft pick also counts at that towards that veteran total. So like Dylan Holloway.
Yeah. Broberg.
Yeah, Broberg. That counts towards your
Interesting.
minimum.
I didn't know first-round draft pick also counted toward it. That's kind of cool.
So...
sucks for teams like Florida who have no first-round draft picks.
No kidding. Did we hit everybody on that list? I think so.
I think so. I'm interested to see when... There was nothing really shocking. I don't know if we mentioned Alex Peters because I think we stopped at Esposito.
Right.
But nothing was really shocking. All those players are going to be key contributors to Bakersfield this year. I don't think anybody who's been sent down is truly a surprise besides, like you mentioned, McKegg, just because he has the chance to be like a fourth-line player. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, the players that are left, I think, have all pretty much shown that they are above McKegg and have the chance to crack the roster. And I say that with an asterisk because there is one player there that I think does not belong.
I think we all know who that player is. Yeah.
So, getting into that, though, so... Now that we've talked about all the players that have been cut, we can talk about the actual final roster and what we're thinking it's going to be at this point.
Sure. What soup's left in the pot here?
Yeah. So essentially, in the top 9, there's only one open position, and it's essentially one of the left wing positions, probably second or third line.
That's including Holloway in that.
I would say our top
8 of 9.
He's not in that 9.
You don't think so?
Well, I'm saying not yet.
Okay.
It's not like in stone yet.
Gotcha.
So the top players are Kane, McDavid, Yamamoto. Let's just say Nuge, Draisaitl, Hyman. Yeah. And then we have the open spot. We have McLeod, and we have Puljujarvi.
Right.
So that leaves that spot to either going to Fogle or to Holloway.
See, I fucked up. I was looking at the lines for tonight, and I forgot Puljujarvi's not playing tonight. So I was like, where do you get...
That's where the big one's coming from.
Okay.
So I think it depends. It's going to be the Fogle-Holloway battle for the next probably 3 preseason games, watching to see which one of them stands out the most.
Yeah.
Because I think Fogle would go well on the 4th line, but with that being said, Tyler Benson... to me, has been the biggest surprise of camp.
He's been outstanding. Hey?
I've loved everything he's brought. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to change his game to fit in the bottom 6.
Well, that's the thing. Like he's always been a really smart hockey player, and he's always had like good aspects to his game. And the biggest thing has always just been he's got fucking lead feet. Yeah, and he's figuring it out. So I'm with you. Like,
well, and if he plays physical, speed almost feels less important. Then if you're trying to be a skill player, you need to like outskate and outmaneuver people. But if he's playing physical and learns how to use his size, maybe he talked to Archibald a few times to learn how to be a small guy throwing a big body.
Yeah.
But I think, in my opinion, I would lock Benson in the bottom or the 4th line. To me, that's almost a lock at this point in my mind. I don't know if the coaching staff feels that way, and it depends on this Fogle-Holloway thing, because I think... in a perfect world, my 4th line would be Benson, Shore, and Fogle.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I would have.
Yeah. Looking at Shore, maybe. I don't know. I'm not completely sold that Matthias Janmark can't put up another 19-goal season.
Well, and that's
I mean, not on the 4th line, but like...
And that's checking out Derek Ryan as well.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even include him in there.
Yeah. But,
so it makes me curious to see who's getting cut. And with that being said, it makes me all but guaranteed have the feeling that Virtanen is going to play like this game, and then he's going to be cut. Like, I know Woodcroft's comments today.
That's coach's speak for.
Well, exactly.
He's never going to sell.
He had a
player.
good camp.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's not selling me on anything. And he's not going to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, he played like shit.
Exactly.
It's like, he's going to pump his tires. He's a good coach. He knows how to talk up his players and everything like that. You've heard him in interviews all last season when he was coaching. Like, he never really tears his players down in any way.
No.
But I have a feeling it still makes all the questions and stuff I've seen out there is, why is Virtanen still here?
Yeah. That's the biggest question of camp.
Yeah.
There's your storyline.
Yeah.
Stoff.
Well, like, and I know we said we got to give Virtanen a chance.
Yeah.
But he's done nothing to prove that he earns a contract over somebody who already has one on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes no sense as to why we would sign him. The only reason I think he is here is so we can sit more people, say, next game, and then ice our final lineup at the last preseason game.
Yeah. So I see Virtanen going. If we're looking at the bottom six, I'm going to factor Holloway on that third line. And then I'm with you. I think Fogle makes a good fourth line player if he can slot in with Benson. It's just who do you throw in to complement? And I think there's a real opportunity for the Oilers to consider what kind of fourth line you want. They're not going to have a big bruising fourth line. Yeah. But you throw Benson, Fogle, maybe Janmark. I don't know.
I think Janmark's probably going to be the 13th forward, I would think. I think the big battle really at this point is between Shore and Ryan.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes things awkward.
I can do without Devon Shore. I don't know.
I like Devon Shore. Honestly, I really like him and what he brings to the team. I think he's like, when he's out there, he tries.
Yeah.
Unlike some people. So like, and he can fly, he can hit. He's very, very, very versatile. And I'm a little bit still not sold on how small Derek Ryan is in the bottom.
Well, he's 36 now too?
Yeah.
Like, so here's my kind of wild card. Brad Malone. Talk about versatility.
I think Brad Malone is going to be one of the first call-ups.
Yeah.
But, like, especially at center, I just don't think he's going to make the roster because he's probably one of the safer players to send down that nobody's going to claim.
I think
we also have to think about that. If we send down Malone, Janmark, Ryan, Shore, and Benson, like those are probably the five guys. One of them will, or multiple of them will get sent down. They all have to go through waivers.
Yeah, not only that, and you got to think of like the cap compliance that they're going to have to reach too. Like,
well, exactly. I've heard things about that as well. That I think whoever has the biggest contract, maybe Janmark, might have to be sent down.
So
in some
we
degree.
might not get a third option on that fourth line. Like it might be Fogle Benson.
It's true. Yeah, I'm curious to see what kind of cap wizardry we have to do to fit the full roster we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So.
And Hamlin's still here too.
I was gonna say he's actually really impressed me. Yeah. I thought he was really good this camp so far from what I've seen. But
yeah, Hamlin's been pretty good. I think he's going to be the top line center though for the Condors this year. I think once again they have him there just still to maybe learn a little bit, and then also to plug in a spot in the roster for when guys aren't playing one of these next few games.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're going to play McDavid, Draisaitl for all three of these remaining games. There's this one, and then there's two more after this.
Yeah.
8 preseason games is way too much.
Fuck.
I'm losing patience a little bit.
I cannot stand how many fucking games there are. It's so dumb. Not only that, but like it's right coming off the rookie camp too, and it's like Jesus. So
I mean, it's probably good for these younger players to like get a long process to show what they can bring.
Right.
But it feels a little bit ridiculous when some teams have. I think some teams only have like 4 preseason games.
That's the weird part too. But it
just makes no sense.
Jumping to the back end, obviously there's. Well, I was gonna say 5 like solid locks, but I don't know if Barry's a solid lock. I mean,
he's a lock for the opening day lineup.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm not sure he's gonna be there.
Like, you mean he might be traded?
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that happening.
I guess I could see it happening.
Yeah,
but I still think, barring any trades, he will be there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying he's not a top 6 defenseman for the Oilers.
Before we get into the defense, then I just wanted to mention one thing. I know there's all the talk about Puljujarvi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with Fogle playing very well in the preseason and Holloway playing very well, does that make Puljujarvi more expendable now? Because I previously said I don't want to get rid of him because we have nobody to replace him.
Yeah.
But if we have a replacement, then I feel less bad about being willing to give him up.
It's funny because we're jumping all over the place here in terms of what I was going to say to that. I think if you can move Puljujarvi, you move him.
For what, though? I don't want to give him away for a box of scraps.
I'm talking like you package him, a first-round pick, maybe a Broberg in for Chychrun.
I would think I wouldn't want to do the Broberg one, but
no Broberg.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't want to jump into it.
That's something to think about, though. Sorry, continuing on the back end.
No, it's all good. That's a good question. Nurse, CC, Kulak, Bouchard, Barry. There's your 5. And then you kind of have the open-ended 6 defensemen like Samorukov, Broberg, Niemelainen, Demers, Murray. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of combos that you can run with.
I'm curious if Samarukov's on the opening night lineup.
Interesting.
Because of the waiver eligibility issue that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Or if they try to sneak him under or through. It makes me think they maybe they would have already tried.
Yeah.
If they were planning on sending him down. But the fact that he's even playing tonight with Barry, I think this is his like shot to prove like you can be on the opening night roster. Like in terms of waivers, that's great for us. So if you can prove that you deserve to be there, like awesome. So he's going to be, I think, the number 1 player to watch tonight.
I would agree.
A close second with Holloway to see how he does playing with Draisaitl, to be fair. But he's like I don't want to say his NHL career is on the line, but his career with the Oilers, I think, is going to be made or broken with tonight's performance.
Wow. No pressure, hey?
I mean, am I wrong, though?
Yeah.
He plays poorly. He gets sent down. He might get claimed off waivers. I would probably claim him if I was another team.
That's a solid point.
If I was Arizona, Detroit, or something like that, who needs some young defensemen.
Yeah.
And then with that being said, there's a couple of the other players. What have you thought of Broberg so far?
He's been underwhelming.
I feel like with the amount of hype, like Broberg's got similar hype to Holloway.
Right.
Holloway's kind of delivered on that, and Broberg I feel like has been a little uninspired.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the hype that he has brought.
I don't know. And I feel bad saying that because I want him to, be the performer that Holloway is right now.
Well, I want him to be the new Clefbaum.
Yeah, well, I think we all do. Like, I don't know. And I know he's young too. Like, I just kind of hope that this is the year that he steps up and cracks the lineup. But I don't know. At that point, like right now, I'm more confident going into a season with Niemelainen on the back end.
I would say he's my number 1 pick currently for that position.
Yeah.
Or at least as the 7th defenseman, just because I've been most impressed by his game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our back end severely lacks that with guys like Kulak and Barry out there who aren't the most physical players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, what did you think of Nurse fighting 2 guys in the one game? A couple of AHLers just trying to make their
This
mark.
might be a terrible take, but I think it's fucking horseshit. You have a $9 million player fighting in the preseason. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's essentially like Draisaitl fighting in the preseason.
Like, what are we doing?
No, I think is that Nurse trying to silence some critics about him lacking that physical edge and bite in his game?
Yeah.
That he's like, I'm still willing to fight. Like, I respect him fighting.
Yeah.
If he would have fought once, I would have been like pretty happy. Fighting twice is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
It just comes to me that like it feels more short-tempered than anything else if you do shit like that.
Well, and it's fair to say that maybe like obviously we're paying him $9 million not to score 80 goals. Like he's meant to do that, but preseason, why?
Yeah, and he's not even fighting like if he was like who was it against the Jets?
Oh, I have no idea.
Well, let's just say they were against the Jets and Blake Wheeler wanted to fight him. Sure.
Yeah,
that's
different
fine.
Story.
If you're fighting a guy of equal caliber to a degree, like I'm okay with that. But if you're fighting some AHL scrub who's just looking to make his ways, like if I knock out Darnell Nurse, I can make this team.
Yeah, like I don't know if he owed him something or.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they ran into each other. It's like, can you let me fight you? Like for old time's sake, we went to school together.
I'll pay you.
Come on, man. So yeah, I would say Broberg underwhelming. Samorukov has been once again underwhelming. He needs to really prove it tonight. Niemelainen's been a pleasant surprise once again. I think everybody just likes his nature of his game. Ryan Murray.
In my eyes, Demers is playing better than Murray, but you have Murray on a contract.
I think if they're both on PTOs, Demers would get the contract.
Yeah.
But the fact that Murray signed, I think kind of fucks Demers over.
I think, I would not be shocked if Demers is gone in the next 2 days.
I don't think he will be gone, but I could see a contract being signed and him getting sent down.
Like Bako?
And give it a try anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to have him down there just to help.
And it'd be super solid, like, in a pinch, somebody's down for a game.
Especially on the right side.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What about Murray? Like,
Murray, he hasn't been disappointing, but he hasn't been sensational. And at the same time, that's kind of what I want out of a 6th, 7th defenseman.
Yeah.
So I think he is an ideal 7th defenseman if they decide they don't want to keep up any of these young guys.
Yeah.
Or at least if they don't want to keep 2 of the 3 young guys. Otherwise, I think Murray would be attempted to be sent down or traded for a box of scraps as well.
Yeah. Okay. I've been like chomping at the bit for this. For the first time in what seems like for fucking ever, I'm excited to talk about our goaltending. I'm
not afraid to talk about our goaltending, which is a nice feeling.
You're still lukewarm to the whole thing?
A little bit. I'm not sold on Campbell yet. Skinner's looked really good.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that. But the more Skinner plays well, the more I'm afraid of the Campbell contract. And I don't want to be afraid.
Right.
I want Campbell to play extremely well so I can be confident in him.
Yeah.
I'd rather Campbell be great and Skinner be a little shaky than the other way around.
It's a good point because I mean long-term planning, like you want Skinner to be the guy, and how do you?
Well, Skinner's going to be on an upward trend theoretically,
right?
Because he's a young goalie still developing, and Campbell is, I would say, at best is going to be pretty stagnant in his development. He's about as good as he's going to get, and he's going to go down from here. So that's my only fear. With that being said, I am still confident in these 2 goalies this season. Yeah. Skinner has made me confident that we'll have a competent backup, and Campbell has looked pretty cool, calm, and collected. When I think it was Nurse had a bad giveaway in the Winnipeg game. I can't remember which game it was now. But rather than seeing Mike Smith turn and start yelling at him, it's just Jack Campbell being cool and be like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's refreshing for sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a contract year for Skinner too. Like he's gonna get paid.
I said it's a dangerous game. I think I said that in the last podcast.
So you said before, I think you said 20 games for Skinner. Do you still think that's
It's gonna be more than 20. I think I wanted 30.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a little bit lower than that because I would like to see 52 and 30, assuming they're both healthy for the whole year. I think that'd be a good split. Maybe next year transitioning more depending on how Skinner does. I don't know how many back-to-back games we have this year, but it's all but guaranteed that Skinner's going to play half of those games. So
yeah.
And then that also leaves Picard. I've heard we're going to send him down. It's just a matter of when. There's been some issues though with goalies getting injured all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I believe Cam Talbot just went down.
6 weeks.
Yeah, and then I think was it Arizona who lost one of their goalies? I can't remember who they claimed. Anyways, now somebody's looking for a goalie. So now everybody's looking their side-eye and be like, I don't want to send my goalie down.
I feel like the Oilers for the past few years have lost goaltenders, just from that same perspective.
We lost Forsberg.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off.
Me too.
Because I was at least we have something there. Just in case, and then he got claimed, and then we were fucked when somebody got injured.
Yeah,
and bear in mind that's when Skinner got called up, and he did pretty decently. But we should have never been in that situation to begin with, because I think we waited until the very last day to send Forsberg down, for fear that somebody was going to claim him, and then of course somebody did. So would it be better to try and sneak Picard down now? Well, we still can.
While nobody's looking.
Well, right now it's a bad time because somebody's out there looking for a goalie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I also don't know if I want to ride Campbell and... Well, I guess it's only 3 games. It's not the end of the world, but...
Well, it'll probably be Campbell, Skinner, Campbell, I would assume, these next few games.
Just no more fucking split games. I hate those.
Well, I think they're done. Skinner did the full game against the Jets, so I think they're done with that.
Yeah. So that pretty much takes care of everything. The only guy, just shout out to Slater Cuckoo, deciding to take a year off for himself and
Oh yeah, I forgot about Cuckoo.
Yeah.
I guess that to a degree, like I hope everything's good with him. It did us a bit of a favor of not having too many of those guys.
Yeah.
How does that impacts the cap still, right? We don't get any
Yeah, that's a good question.
benefits from that. To my knowledge, we don't, because it's like personal leave being given. So I don't think it impacts the cap for us in any way.
I'm not too sure. So some news floating around this week. Jacob Chychrun, obviously the Oilers are in talks, but any takeaways for you? I know I listened to the Ryan Rashog podcast, and he had Darren Drager on. He basically brought him on to clarify what he was saying, and all he was basically saying is the Oilers are still in talks. They're not actively shopping anybody. So I don't know if, apparently Spector said that the Oilers offered Puljujarvi some sort of a package, and as soon as they mentioned Broberg, they walked away. But with that being said, Drager made it sound like they're keeping in touch.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I don't know.
In my opinion, we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
I would do a first. I would do Samorukov, and I would do one of Puljujarvi and Barrie.
Yeah, you have to move a contract for sure, hey?
Guaranteed, if not both of those.
Yeah.
But if you do both of them, I would want something additional in return.
Right.
Probably a prospect or a pick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like Chychrun, don't get me wrong. But that kind of, unless you are trading Broberg, for example, it kind of fucks Broberg over because we're bringing in a left defenseman.
So what's your
unless we're getting rid of Barrie.
Well, I don't know. They've played Broberg on the right side before.
It's true. But, and I'm a bit of a left-right side defenseman purist, to be fair.
Fair.
But it does kind of fuck up that left side a little bit because I'm assuming it would knock Kulak down to the third pair because Chychrun's he's a top 4 defenseman.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
So you wouldn't move Broberg for him?
No, I don't think I would. I'm still a bit on the Broberg hype train. I know he hasn't had the best camp ever, but I'm not ready to give up on him. He's still young. And Ken Holland isn't the type of guy to give up on defensemen this young.
I know, but we're in win now mode.
That's why I'm willing to get rid of some of the more B-level prospects, Samorukov. If somebody wanted to be like, okay, bye.
Do you trust, I guess is a good word, Ken Holland to trade for Jacob Chychrun?
Probably not.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the best track record in the bigger trades that he's made. So, I don't know. I'm not against it. I'm not necessarily for it because I'm afraid to overpay.
Right.
And I don't want to fuck us over
by
overpaying.
Well, that's a good point. The other thing is I hope I'm not going out on a limb here and saying this is a playoff team.
That's not a limb.
Okay.
It's
weird to say though.
To me, this season is like Western Conference Final, or I'm disappointed.
Yeah, that's fair. But with that being said, do you want to go and blow your load before the season starts and maybe not save a few of those bullets for trade deadline? Who's going to come available in the next couple of months?
And to be fair, you don't want to we're talking about getting rid of Puljujarvi in this situation, right? You don't want to finally get rid of that sweet, sweet forward depth that we finally have. And the second we have it, we're like, okay, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's we don't want to get rid of it. Yes, I want to improve the defense, and that's probably the best way to do it. But I'd rather give up a first and a prospect who isn't immediately apparently going to make the roster. I'd be more down for a first and Schaefer or something like that, plus Barrie for Chychrun than to get rid of any of our young guys who are closer to making the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what ends up shaking. Honestly, I don't see... I just have a feeling Arizona's going to hold on to him.
Yeah.
And the price from all intents and purposes is just extremely high right now. So.
Well, and to be fair, it's dropped significantly.
That's true. That's true.
For anybody who wasn't aware, Arizona was previously asking for 4 first-round picks or equivalent. So a former first-round pick or a top 6 roster player. Or
What an
top 4
organization,
defenseman.
eh?
So, yeah, I don't think they're ones to exactly be holding all the cards to be able to ask that. Because then everybody told them to go fuck themselves. And now they're like, how about a first and a prospect?
You still want to talk? Or, yeah, we'll see what happens. First couple games with the New Jerseys.
I've liked the New Jerseys, to be honest. I'm getting like weird flashbacks to like the early 2010s, late 2000s. But I have enjoyed them. I think some of the players have looked great in them. Are we going to use the alternate jerseys anymore? Like
the two-tone, like the dark blue and orange?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Because like I do still like those jerseys. I didn't like them at first. I still don't love them because I don't want one for myself. Because it makes it look like you're wearing like pajamas because they don't have enough stripes on them.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation because that makes me mad.
I also heard that the biggest push for this jersey change was the players themselves. Like they hated the orange jersey, and I think it's the worst Oilers jersey that we've had.
I guess that's fair. But I don't know. I didn't hate the orange. I hated the most recent change to the orange with the Adidas jerseys. I didn't like that change.
I'm also not a big fan of the kind of waffle aesthetic that's going up on the shoulders. I don't know. I know that you don't see that until you're like up close, but
yeah,
I don't know. Just that orange jersey is horrendous. I'm so glad it's gone.
I'm a fan of the blue jerseys with the orange tinge. I'm still excited to see the full authentic jerseys like on players.
Yeah.
Rather than what am I saying? I mean reverse retro, not the authentic
jerseys. It's funny.
You knew
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what they actually look like. But I don't know. It's amazing how the Oilers went from, well, obviously I'm hating on the orange jersey, but how they had one of the worst jerseys in the NHL to having one of the best in like nothing.
Well, everybody loves them, to be fair. And I think the orange ones, like I'm looking at this picture on your wall right now, like I don't hate it. I do like it, honestly. But I don't know, like the orange is just too neon sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe they just needed to tone it down a little bit. What would it like instead of orange, like take our orange jerseys and replace it with the copper?
Ooh.
What would that look like? Now I'm curious about that. I'm going to have to do some photoshopping.
Now we're just a bunch of Carhartt wearing motherfuckers.
Exactly. Very fits the Alberta aesthetic and the Oilers name.
Oh, yeah. And then you got to get the old shoulder patch.
Yeah. The one with the oil worker or whatever?
Yeah.
I like that one.
Get that as your main logo.
Hey, look, it's on that jersey. Why do you have so many pictures of jerseys on your wall?
Oh, they're players. Best. Dougie Waite. I'm talking like everybody can see. We've got a poster. These are pictures. Come on, Greg. Give yourself some class. A Hyman and a signed Doug Waite photo. That will go with me to my grave.
That's true.
I
have a signed Ryan Smith picture somewhere. I think my dad has it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think he set everything up in his shed.
Okay, now we're going to talk about something that's a little bit less fun, but I didn't want to end the show on a bad note. But I have to vent a little bit here because there's another report. You know when Rick Westhead comes out with a report that you're fucked, hey?
Whenever he posts something, I'm like, who's getting in shit this time?
Yeah. Another report that Hockey Canada, and we haven't really talked about this, but the reason I wanted to get into it today is because it's starting to piss me off, especially with the fact that it does bleed into the Edmonton Oilers. And I'm a little bit, sour to the fact that the report today now comes out saying that portion of the players' funds are going basically to the second fund that they have to pay off these stupid sexual assault cases. Not stupid in nature, but just stupid in the fact that it's basically a general liabilities fund is what they call it. But just knowing that every fucking year that you pay like hockey fees, that this is what it's going into, it just really hit me the wrong way. And then the fact that you have the guy, like, all I'm getting at with this point is Bob Nicholson has to answer some fucking questions now.
I think the entirety of Hockey Canada does. Like, it's a little annoying that people aren't stepping down. They're just like, yeah, it happened, so what? And, like, that's kind of the attitude that I feel like they're giving off, which is very annoying. And I don't think I've seen Bob Nicholson say anything.
I know.
Maybe there's something out there that I just missed, but I think it definitely needs to be talked about, and it's almost embarrassing that it hasn't. Because it feels like everyone's just kind of sitting there hoping that it blows over. Yeah. And it's people like Rick Westhead, like you mentioned, who refuse to let it blow over. They're like, no, we're not going to drop this until it's fucking taken care of.
Yeah. You can't have a fucking dog and pony show where you have the guy who's head of Hockey Canada for, 20 yeyears and then fucking sell a name with his burger, or a burger with his name on it.
That's true.
Like everything's fine and dandy.
I wonder if it'll be discontinued this year. If you go to the arena, it's discontinued. The old Bobby Nick's burger.
Jesus.
But maybe that's the reason why we haven't heard anything from him, because they're still working on how to properly release something.
That's true.
To PR for it. Do I agree with doing that? No.
Right.
I'd rather they come out and say it, because if you've got nothing to hide, you'll come out and say something. But they need to figure that out, because it's getting a little bit tiring at this point.
Yeah. It's tough to just walk away from it like everything's okay.
Or
expect it to blow over.
I would like to be similar to Rick Westhead, where we do not stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Until this is all figured out.
Yeah.
Because once it falls, you know how the news cycle works. Once it falls out of the news cycle, then people stop talking about it. And we don't want that to happen.
Irony about it. 3 years ago, I had an interview for Hockey Canada.
Oh, really?
In their finance department.
Oh.
And just thinking, man, would not want to be there today, man.
I mean, being there 2 years ago wouldn't be so bad, especially the finance department.
Yeah.
You could have found all this information and whistle-blown on them forever ago, Greg.
I will whistle-blow that their offer was shit.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. No money whatsoever.
Yeah, it's all in the funds. They're spending it all on that stuff. That's why there's no money to pay their employees.
All right, moving on. You obviously saw the shit with Jay Woodcroft this week, eh?
Yeah.
He's having a week.
It's quite funny. For anybody who doesn't know, and some sort of algorithm named Jay Woodcroft the handsomest coach, the sexiest coach. I don't know what the proper term was.
We'll call him sexy.
But somehow he made it to the top of the list.
Sexy Jay. Did you see who's that too?
Daryl Sutter.
That's fucked.
Yeah, that made me like, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw number 2. I was like, this algorithm doesn't work.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling. I forget who it was that was talking about. I'm gonna tell a story and not know the whole of it, but it's funny just to listen to some of the coaches, bash each other a little bit and, kind of say where they belong. But it kind of led to the little snippets of Jay Woodcroft's acting career.
Those were pretty good. Before we move to those clips,
did
you see DJ Smith's, the Ottawa coaches quote?
No.
So they asked him about that list. I think he was like, I don't know, he was like mid-tier somewhere in there. But anyways, they asked him about it, and he's like, you know what? I'm just happy to be here. I asked my wife. She said I'm number 1. I'm going to call my mom later. I'm sure she'll say the same, pump my tires. He's like, at the end of the day, I'm just happy to be in the top 32.
Oh, my God. That's too funny.
And then, like, if you think about that quote, it's like, I'd love to be in the top 32
as
well, because that means you're an NHL coach.
Exactly.
That means you're getting paid millions of dollars to coach a sport that you love.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny.
Great. But anyways, some of the Jay Woodcroft acting chops that he's...
Yeah, he's got 2 credits to his name. The first one obviously being in the pilot of The Littlest Hobo.
That is hilarious to me.
So I thought, like, I'm 30 years old, but I asked my fiance about it. Like, I was saying, have you seen this? She's like, what's The Littlest Hobo? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? She'd never heard of it. Am I that old?
They were not that old. That's 1979 as well, to be fair.
Old soul then.
So, maybe. Like, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever watched it.
So, yeah, this is probably coming from, 2 channels and, the old CBC reruns. But, yeah. Anyways, the second credit into that, there's that little snippet that was going around. With Woodcroft, just the scene of him going into his parents' bedroom, catching them in the act. But I was like, is this him? And then he started talking, and I was like, oh my God.
Even as a kid, he sounded the same.
He sounds exactly the same. Too funny.
I'm seeing here somebody, I don't know if this existed before, but he does have an IMDb page now.
Oh, look at that.
With the credits in there for Separate Vacations and The Littlest Hobo.
So we should be proud that he spent all that time in California and didn't leave us for acting.
Exactly. Do you want to know what the trivia is on IMDb?
Let's do it.
Jay Woodcroft was named head coach of the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, there you go.
In 2022.
He diverted his acting career.
Yeah. Somebody's going to find this and see that and they're like, he's a coach? It's like, that's crazy.
That's too funny. Yeah, that pretty much takes care of it. Tonight, the Oilers finally get a fucking game on TV that we'll get to watch.
Yeah, we're recording this. We're about 45 minutes or so from puck drop, which we're actually going to get to watch it because we've got this knocked out in time.
Ooh, one last quote.
Oh, okay.
Not really a quote, but just fun fact. Our boy Mikko Koskinen.
What did he say?
Have you seen him?
No, what did he do?
He's played his first 5 games in Lugano.
Yeah.
1.01 goals against average and a .966 save percentage.
It just goes to show Dustin Schwartz was holding him back.
Oh my God. Yeah, good for him.
That's what happens when an NHL goalie goes to which league is
Swiss,
he in?
Swiss
The
league.
Swiss Elite League?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it makes a huge difference. Koskinen was never a bad goalie. It was
Well-
just a little sketchy sometimes.
And you mentioned teams are looking for goalies. You never know.
Mikko.
He's like, fuck North America after
Yeah.
that whole 2 years of isolation.
If we send Picard down and somebody claims him, do we call Mikko and be like, hey,
Hey, remember us?
so you're doing pretty good. You want to come back?
We miss you.
Can we just sign him to like 1-day contracts, one after the other, until we get another goalie? And they'll be like, okay, bye, Mikko. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, he's probably scorned. Never coming back to Edmonton.
We forced him out of the league. That's how bad we ran him out of
We
the
do that.
the
We
league.
do that.
It does happen, unfortunately.
Well, that being said, that's episode 17. I nearly fucked it up again.
What number are you even going to say?
Who cares? It's another episode. We'll see you. What?
Hopefully we get to the point where the episode number doesn't matter because we've released so many episodes that we've lost track and don't care anymore.
That's true. Hopefully, I guess this is kind of insider baseball for insider base. That's not the phrase.
Isn't this hockey?
I thought it was inside baseball.
Anyway.
Doesn't fucking matter. Those of you who are listening to this probably don't know that we had to shave off another 15 fucking minutes of pod last week because we had mic issues. But I think we got it figured out. So here's fingers crossed that this actually...
Well, I guess we'll see. We haven't listened to this yet, so it could be shit again for all we know.
Yeah. So I hope we see you next Tuesday because if not, if this doesn't work, I'm going to jump in a river.
And hopefully buy a new mic at the same time.
Yeah.
I think there's mic stores on the other side of the river. Did you really just end it by going, I'm
going to cut that out.
That made me laugh. I didn't think you were going to stop.
It's still recording, so we got all that.